Hi guys, it's Tim here from cleverbodybuilding.com, and today we've got a special treat for you. We've got Pat Warner, one of Britain's best multi-year title winning bodybuilders. Welcome, Pat.
Nice to meet you, Tim.
It's a pleasure.
Good to see you again.
No worries, buddy. So just for the people out there, just roll off some of your titles you've won.
I'll start off with where I started from. The first major title I won was the overall NABBA Mr. United Kingdom Class 1. Which qualified me for the following Britain next year in the Universe, which was a great title. I've also placed runner-up in the Mr. World in NABBA, which was in New Zealand in 2000. I've come first in a few other titles from different federations, but the main ones for me was obviously the titles that I've named. I won a Mr. Europe in a federation, and I also am the first official under 100 kilo heavyweight champion in UK FBB, which was a fantastic title because for a few years, probably 10 years, I've been trying to chase that title, but I normally compete around 102, 101, but everybody over 90 kilo, most of the guys over 90 kilo tended to be 110, 111. I felt I was giving too much weight away. You know, even though my condition was good, some of the guys had size and condition, so you can get swamped and you can get a bit lost. When they brought it down to under 100 kilo, it was suitable for me. And I remember doing the qualifiers, and I actually qualified as a super heavyweight, where I did Leeds 3 weeks before, and I was 103 kilo. And I'd grown muscle in that year, and I thought I was ready for the British finals at 103. But Kerry Kayes, obviously, everyone knows who Kerry Kayes is, former owner of CMP and legendary trainer. He said we can get under 100 kilo, and I thought, it's impossible. I've got no way, 7 pounds of fat to lose. It's impossible. Anyway, I stuck to the plan, I dieted, and I turned up at the Britons intending on coming under 100 kilo, because Kerry knew if I could get under 100 kilo, he knew I didn't, but he knew I'd be champion.
Yeah.
But for me, because I was competing against the big guys for so many years and I was over 100 kilo, I really fancied myself to get amongst them. I didn't think I'd win, but to show that the guys a little bit smaller could, if these guys were off, you know what I mean, they wouldn't have the condition that I would have, so I'd sort of like make a mark. So when I actually got there and I stripped off, I was just under 101 and I was quite happy to go into super heavyweights. And Kerry says, come here, I want you to get under 100. And I thought, well, how am I going to do that? He said, just get on a bike. But I would argue with him saying, no, I don't want to get on a bike. I want to step against the big boys and scare them, because I wanted to compete in the super heavyweights looking like I did. And he pulled me at one side, he says, we've not worked hard for years for you to come away and not be champion when you're in that condition. I just think even though your condition's spot on and you will get amongst them, you'll probably get second at the best. That's a championship winning physique today. You need to be winning a title when you're looking like that. Get on that bike. So we got on the bike for about 25 minutes.
Wow.
And I came back and I got on the scales. This is true, Tim, and it says 100, a few zeros, and 2 at the end, which is like micro. You know, you've competed yourself. So I thought, right, I'm under 100 kilo. And they went, no, it's got to say 100 or under. And I thought, well, bloody hell, how am I going to do that? So before then, you could sort of like, you know, you could sort of like, I had an earring on, so I took my earring off. I said, can I sort of like take my trunks off and just protect my modesty? So it says under 100, no, you've got to wear in trunks. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? I'd gone on the bike, I was tired, I'd not eaten. So Kerry says, here, drink 500 ml of water. So I drank 500 ml of water, get on the bike, and hopefully by the time you get on that bike, you'll want to go to the toilet. You know what I mean? So you want to urinate. So I got on the bike, another 13 minutes. So this was nearly 40 minutes on a bike. And I was absolutely exhausted. Then I wanted to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet, rushed to the toilet, and I managed to go to the toilet. And then I realised I had to come down a flight of stairs. So I thought, I don't want to put no weight on coming down these stairs. So I was tiptoeing coming down these stairs. Got on the bike, I got on the scales, and it says 99.999.
Boom.
So, but then I went on stage for about 7 or 8 hours. So I got to put some food back in me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was over 2 days.
Oh, wow.
This first time it was over 2 days. Obviously, first under 100 kilo, and first time it was over 2 days. So by the time I got on stage, I was absolutely exhausted, drained. And I got on stage, and normally, because the way my physique is put together, it's fairly symmetrical. So I always get a call out straight away. But then when I normally get put in the middle, because I don't improve over the past because I got my condition right, I never get called out again. Do you know what I mean? And I go backwards. So I'm so used to this first call out. And because obviously I was already registered as a super heavyweight, by the time I dipped into the hundreds, I was the last number 200. So I was behind the curtain, if you know what I'm saying. There was 22 of us on stage, so nobody could see me. I'm thinking, I'm not even going to get a call out here. And I don't think they realised that I was in that class, because they think I was still in the super heavyweights. Until I don't know what made me just rush forward, and then judges saw and thought, bloody hell, Pat's in this class. So they called me forward, stuck me in the middle, and then they put us to the back. They put us all to the back, which is normally when there's about 20 of you on stage.
It's hard, isn't it?
They call you out in fives. It doesn't mean that you're in the top 5, because what they do is once they call the whole 20 out, then when they start with 21, they start again. That's normally your top 5. But by that time they called us out, I didn't know where I was. And then I did get called out in that first 5, but by that time I'd already been called out once. I thought, I'm nowhere in the mix here. Not realising that the call out that I was in was actually their first official call out. The first call outs before that was because they were calling you out in sections, having a look at you individually, and thought, right, now we've seen them all, let's call them out again. And this is the top 5. But my head had gone by then. Bear in mind, I'd been on the bike. I was depleted. I didn't even know where I was. I was behind the curtain. So then I got called out and I got put in the middle again. And then we all went to the back. Then I never got called out again. I was devastated. So my body language must have told people in the audience that I'd come nowhere. And I remember John Hodson, an IFBB pro, would see me a couple of days before the show. What he said stuck into me right until the end of the show. He says, get your head up, Pat. They don't want to see you again. You've won this. Do you know what I mean? And that's what he said. That even though, obviously, nobody knows if I won because it's not being judged, but he was basically telling me I'm that good, I'm that far ahead of everybody else. The reason I'm not getting another call out is because they don't need to see me. Now, in the past, your last call out is normally, if there's 3, if there's 4, if there's 5, that's normally your last call out is normally your top 5, your top 3, or whatever. I didn't get called out in that. Now I'm going backstage, I'm thinking all this extra sacrifice, I wish I'd have stayed in this super heavy. All these things are going through my head. And it's a bit old school back then. So I'm backstage, and then, as you would know yourself, sometimes when you knew that, because it was over 2 days, what they did was, you wasn't going back on stage again. There was just a list of the top 15 that had qualified for the next day. Right. No, it was top 10. So they said, if your name's on the board, you've qualified for the following day.
No way.
And I never knew how certain bodybuilders were, because what they did was, there was 20 of us backstage, so there's 20 of us fighting for this top 10 place. About 15 people left. And I think, well, where's these 15 people leaving? Because there's not even the top 10 yet. But some of these guys goes, I know I'm in the top 10. I don't even need to see my name. I don't even need to see my name. So I'm thinking, that's a bit arrogant. Isn't it? I'm waiting here and the list is not even up. And then she came in, Sarah Bridges, she came in with the list and put it up. So I'm putting up with it, and she's like that, what are you still doing here? I said, wait, see, my name's on the list. She goes, well, don't worry about that, your name's on the list. So anyway, so my name was on the list. I'd gone back to my hotel, and Carl Froch was fighting that night. I'll never ever forget. He was in Nottingham, because that's where he's from, and he was fighting. All his fans were stopping in our hotel, and it was just pandemonium. There was noise, and I thought, God, I wish I could freaking go to sleep. I can't go to sleep because I think I could win this tomorrow. Is it just me? Everyone's telling me I'm going to win and stuff like that. Never had that position before. Do you know what I mean? Normally I get people saying, oh, you look well, Pat, you'll do all right kind of stuff. But these people literally come, oh, you know, nobody's even coming near you. And I couldn't handle it. And then I'm originally from Leicester, which is only 26 miles away. So I rung my cousin to see if he were at home. He said, are you at home? He says, yeah. I said, I'm down at British Finals in Nottingham. Can I come stop the night? I said, of course you can. Because I had to get away from Nottingham because of the noise. I couldn't sleep. So me and my daughter, because my daughter came down, we drove out of Leicester. We stopped there. And then we came back the next morning, and there were more people that turned up, obviously, because it was a Saturday and Sunday, and some people are working. So a lot of my fans and friends, even my training partner, couldn't come till a Sunday. But my training partner had been ringing me all night, and I'd switched my phone off because he didn't know whether to come down or not to see if I'd made the top 10. Because he's thinking, God, I can't get in touch with you. So he thought I'd switched my phone off because I was sulking, because I'd not made the top, as you can imagine. Totally. So he rung a few of my friends, and he says, I can't get in touch, Pat. I'm just hoping he's made the top 10. So one of my mates who were right down said, made the top 10. Nobody's beating him tomorrow. So he drove down anyway. So when I got there with the first person he'd seen, and he went, how you feeling? I went, I'm feeling great. Do you know what I mean? I said, I didn't even stop here last night. It was just murder. I had to get away from it all. So anyway, he said, I've spoke to a few people, and I spoke to a few of the judges and friends. We had friends that were judges, and obviously they couldn't say. And one of the judges said to him, trust me, Pat's not going to be disappointed. Which just means I've cracked the top 3 in my head, which I was which I was buzzing.
Of course.
So anyway, so he gets back on stage that day, and I was even better than I was the night before. So I was thinking, whatever happened, I've done myself proud here. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, it gets down to the top 6. And then it gets down to the top 6. I'm still in the top 6. So then we've done an overall posing, and then starts calling out the numbers. So I'm just thinking I want 3rd now, because that's all I want is 3rd. So 6th, 5th, 4th go. So I'm in the top 3. It's the first time in 2 days I've totally relaxed. So then for some reason, because it can be a little bit political, and the top 2 in that category that year was the top two again. So I'm thinking I'm going to get 3rd, and it's going to be a battle between these 2, because normally they move up 1 position. Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking. So in 3rd place, I've stepped forward. Do you know what I mean? Anticipating it's me, and they've called some other lad's name out. And I thought, bloody hell, I'm in top 2. And then the guy who was in the top 2 with me had come 3 years in a row. He'd come 2nd. Oh. 3, and I thought he's won this. 3 years. As always, there's no way he's going to lose this. Anyway, but what they did was, for the first time ever, they said, I'm going to call out the winner first, which they normally call out second first.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm going to call out the winner first, and they called out the winner, right? And then anyway, for some reason, I just thought they're calling out second place. So I stepped forward and I thought, I'm getting a few cheers for second place here. and then they give me this massive trophy. And I actually thought they'd give me the bloody wrong trophy. It's a big trophy for second place. Not realising I'd actually bloody won it. Awesome. And then after that, it was just pandemonium. It was crazy. But I couldn't stop and see anybody. I just needed to get out of there. Because the euphoria of winning was fantastic. But the shock and the stress of what I'd been through for 20... Because in 2008, I'd been written off.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? I came back because I didn't even place at the Britons the year before. I got nowhere.
So lots of hard work, Pat.
Oh, 11 months of hard work. 11 months of doubting myself, and 11 months... I wouldn't have got through if it wasn't for Kerry Kays and people like that who were saying... Because I was always the sports nice guy. You beat me, I just took it as... Yeah, well, I'll come back next year. They called me bodybuilding's nice guy because I had a nice physique, I had a fantastic routine. But I don't think I think I was considered the Frank Bruno of bodybuilding. I was just... too nice, do you know what I mean? But Kerry knew how hard I worked behind the scenes, and he goes, yeah, you are too nice, and you surround yourself with wrong people. I know how hard you can work. If you go away and work hard for 12 months, trust me, you'll be last man standing next year.
Proof's in the pudding.
And the proof was in the pudding, yeah.
Fantastic.
So that was great, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me just get into something. What got you into bodybuilding, Pat?
Do you know something? It came through my love of football. And it's a weird story, like I told you earlier on. What it basically was, I used to love playing football. I played semi-pro football. I was a winger. I didn't know nothing about body parts like hamstring, quads and stuff. We just had legs and arms, didn't we? You know what I mean? So, but every time I was always getting injured, and I once went into the hospital, and my hamstrings, now that I know that my hamstrings were very, very tight. And I'd always outrun my hamstrings. I was too quick for my hamstrings, so I was always popping.
Right.
So my doctor said, listen, obviously you're always popping your hamstrings. You need to build your leg strength up, basically. Get yourself into a gym and do some squatting. And what the bloody hell squatting? I didn't even know what it was. But I knew a few friends that trained, you know what I mean? They said, I need to do some squats. What squats? So my mate took me to the gym and says, but it wasn't even it was a sports centre. So I went to a sports centre, started doing some training with him, did a little bit of squatting, what he said. After about 3 or 4 weeks, I could feel my legs getting strong. I was playing football. I felt like Superman. It felt like somebody gave me a new pair of legs. It was unreal. It was unbelievable. But at the same time, I loved the feeling how my legs felt, and I loved the training parts. I felt, do I even really want to do this football anymore? Because I love spending more time in the gym than playing football. Then there was a club doing some weights in a corner. And obviously, I found out they were powerlifters, but at that time, I didn't know what they were. So they were lifting all these weights. I thought, that looks cool. So when they all left, they left the weights out. So I went and lifted this weight up, which was a deadlift. So anyway, this guy saw me lifting it, and he was the coach of this Bradford powerlifting club. He said, which powerlifting club are you from? I went, I'm from no powerlifting club. He goes, well, you've just lifted up this weight, which is kind of a bit of a national, not a national record, a local record. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he said, can you do that again? So I did it again. He went, you need to come to a powerlifting meet. So I invited him to a powerlifting meet, and he says, you're a guest lifter, which a guest lifter basically means you can compete on that day, but your lifts are not registered. Do you know what I mean? They're just seeing if you're good at what you do. So anyway, by the time the competition had finished, I'd lifted more than anybody in my weight class. But obviously it wouldn't be counted because I was a guest lifter. And then I was hooked. And then after that, I went on like an 8-year streak of never being beaten as a powerlifter.
Wow.
At that time, I only weighed 82.5 kilo, which was around the 13 stone mark. And some of my best lifts then, I was 200 kilo squat, 145 kilo bench press, and a 245 to 250 kilo deadlift.
Wow.
Which was nuts at that body weight.
At that body weight.
That body weight. Do you know what I mean? And then I loved so then I started going to the powerlifting clubs all over, and then you started seeing bodybuilders. And a friend of mine was a Mr. Universe, and most people now into bodybuilding will know who he is. He's called Basil Francis. He was, I would say, Britain's Ronnie Coleman, 20 years ago. This guy was genuinely 284 pound on stage.
That's serious.
Which is 20 stone 4.
Massive.
And in shape as well. He just didn't have that personality. It was more like Paul Delay. He'd walk on stage and you'd think, wow, and then he'd just, as daft as it sounded, make himself smaller.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't pose.
He had the confidence.
He didn't have the confidence. If he did, God, he'd have been unbelievable. So he said, fancy doing bodybuilding? I went, not a chance if you've got to look like you. Because, I'm 13 stone. No way I'm going to. He goes, no, we come in all different shapes and sizes. So I started going to the shows, and but I was still playing football then. And I remember doing a show called The Latham's First Timers. And John Hodgson, who was an IFBB pro, he actually won the show that day. So anyway, I was there and I competed, and I think I got there was 13 in my class, and I come about 7th or 8th. No bodybuilding diet. Didn't even shave my bloody legs. I didn't know nothing about bodybuilding. Bought a pair of posing trunks, put some baby oil on, and just jumped on stage for a bit of a laugh. And Ian Harrison, obviously an IFBB pro at the time, and one of the best bodybuilders we produced outside Dorian Yates. He came up to me and he says, "You play other sports, don't you, Pat?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Listen, you've got shit legs, excuse my French." That's basically what he said. A fantastic upper body. If you decided to do a bodybuilding show and you did a basic diet, you'd do really well. So I took about 18 months off. Never played a bit of football, but not a lot of football. Came back, and in 1996 I did the novice Mr. United Kingdom, and I placed 3rd.
That's awesome.
Do you know what I mean? Which was huge. Do you know what I mean? And then I thought, and then a few people said, "Listen, you take this," but I still love football, so I was still in between football and thingy. And then I think it was 98. I decided, right, I'm not going to play no football. I'm going to take a year off, and then I'm just going to focus on bodybuilding. And it was hard because I still loved my football. Took a year off, came back. I was no longer a novice anymore, because if you place in the top 3 in a novice show, you've got to go straight into the misters, which I didn't know. So when I came back, he goes, "All right, you're with the big boys now." And what does that mean? He goes, "Well, you're not a novice now. You've got to be in a class." And obviously, I was in a tall class 1. So I thought, what have I got to lose? I only went in winning the overall and winning the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? Which was fantastic. And then I went to the Britons the following year, which I was really, really disappointed, because I won the class 1 overall in 1999, which qualified me for the overall Britain in 2000. I went to Britons and they put me in class 2.
No way.
And they shouldn't even, because technically, it's illegal really, because if you win as class 1, you go as class 1.
Of course, yeah.
They put me in class 2. Now, I now know afterwards, and I can say it on record, that I won't mention the guy's name, but he was retiring that year, and he was a red hot favourite to win class 1. He wouldn't have beat me.
Got you.
So they shifted me. They moved the goalpost a little. Yeah. So they put me in class 2. Now, I got 3rd at class 2 in the Britons, which sounds fantastic, but it was rubbish. Not because it wasn't a good place to be, because they'd moved me that day, because don't forget what's supposed to be in that class. Again, I was behind the curtains, so nobody could see me. I got 1 call out, and yet I placed 3rd. Now, technically, when you place 3rd, it's when you're in the mix.
Yeah.
I would have been in the mix if you saw me. I wasn't in the mix because nobody saw me. So it was a token 3rd. You know what I mean? It was thanks for moving classes. If they put me in, I'd have had some call outs. I could understand that, but I didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just a gift. So for me, it's a title that I don't even mention, because I think it was by default. I think they just handed it to me just to keep me quiet. But then I got invited to the Mr. World the same year in New Zealand. Cool. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go over there. Now that I know I'm going to class 2, and I'm going to go over to give it my best shot. So I went over to New Zealand against the best bodybuilders on the planet, obviously, in that federation. First ever sort of like international show after competing 2 years. And I got runner-up and lost it by a point.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, just by 1 point to this Australian kid. But we flew on the Tuesday, and as you well know, New Zealand is the other side of the world. It's the furthest you can fly. I landed on the Thursday and we was on stage on Saturday. So we only had 48 hours to prepare.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
And I only lost it by a point. If we'd have been over there a week before, dried out, ate properly, I'd have won that show. But that, for me, is probably still one of my biggest achievements. You know what I mean? Because under the circumstances, you know what I mean? And having to move classes and switch classes. And then becoming the second best bodybuilder in the world after 2 years or 3 years of competing was a massive achievement for me.
Huge.
And that's when I realised that, you know, I could do something special.
You had this.
I had this. You know what I mean? So,
do you put down, you know, you did all your powerlifting?
Yeah.
Do you put that like down as a good base? Because you've got a really big back, haven't you, Pat?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think I even remember Dorian Yates complimented me on my back. I did 99 at Northwest in Warrington.
Yeah.
And I came second to Dennis Francis, who went on to win his pro card that year. And Dorian was still sponsored by CMP at the time.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? This was before I was sponsored by CMP. And I was a massive fan of Dorian's. Do you know what I mean? And when I went to get my photo with him on stage and afterwards, when I went to get a signed photo of him, he looked up and goes, "Oh, you're that guy with that huge back." Do you know what I mean? And I thought, coming from probably the best backs on the planet at that time, was a massive compliment. But then I've always been complimented on my back. But I think I put that down to all the powerlifting, all the deadlifting I've done over the years. Because even when I came into bodybuilding, when I didn't have any decent body parts, I had a ridiculous back. You know, when I would get, I remember when I came 10th in a bodybuilding show, which is nowhere really, and I got mentioned in the magazine. You know what I mean? And it even said then, this guy's got one of the best backs I've ever seen in bodybuilding, amateur bodybuilding. Wait till his physique catches up. Yeah. So even from then, it was very, very noticeable. Okay. You know what I mean? So and I knew nobody. Once I turned around, I know nobody would me from the back when I'm up against shows. Yeah.
Cool. So what do you enjoy the most about bodybuilding, Pat?
The discipline.
Yeah.
I think, I know most people think it's a lonely sport, which is when you're dieting and stuff like that. But when you get to bodybuilding shows, I think the camaraderie that we have is far better than any team sport. Even though it's an individual sport where one man's stepping on stage. You know, I've looked after footballers, all different kinds of sportsmen, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to, you know, teamwork and partnerships and stuff. I don't think there's anything like it's a brotherhood of iron. It is. You know, we all have the mutual respect because we know how hard you can work. You can hide in football teams. Yeah. You know, you play for me and you could play for Barcelona and win titles even if we're crap because the rest of them around us are good. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in bodybuilding, it's you against you.
That's it. Do you know if you're tired or not?
You know, nobody can do your work for you. That's what I'm basically saying. When you're in a team, you can be carried, can't you?
Totally.
You know, you can't be carried in bodybuilding. I mean, it's not my saying, but I remember Kerry saying, he said, I'll sum it up like this, Pat. He said, you can play football, you can play cricket, you can play tennis, you can't play bodybuilding.
No. You got to do it 100%.
Can't play it, can you? You can't play it.
Yeah, well, so completely with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so discipline.
Discipline.
It's very much a discipline sport.
But discipline is not something you can install in somebody. It's got to be in you anyway in the first place. It's not something, I can make you stronger, I can teach you how to eat properly, I can do your diet for you. Do you know what I mean? But you can't, you know, it's something, my father was never a sportsman, God rest his soul. He was only 5'6". He was nothing sport-minded, but if you got him to go out and dig the road for a day, dig it for 20 hours, you dig a garden, he just had this focus and this discipline. And I think that's the only trait, because he had no athletic or physical ability whatsoever. So I truly believe that the discipline that I brought into bodybuilding was passed down in my DNA from my father.
Oh, cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really... Discipline's there.
Yeah.
You're inbuilt in it. I mean, I've seen plenty of people try dieting for shows.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many people fail doing that.
Yeah. You know yourself, we train people, both of us. Yeah. And you know you can take them around the gym, you can give them exercise, you can see them improving, and then they'll come back the next day and they're 6-7 pounds heavier. We've got no control over that.
Yeah.
That's something they have to do for themselves.
Totally.
It's not something we can teach them. If we could teach them, it'd be a fantastic thing.
It would.
But you can't teach them that.
If you could give someone a discipline.
Oh, yeah. If you could give somebody a discipline, it'd be unbelievable. But obviously we can't do that. Yeah.
Okay, I think we touched on this a little bit already.
Yeah.
What's your best moments in the industry?
I think the best moments in the industry is friendship. Because when I first came into this sport, because like I said, I played football before. I was a sprinter. I was 100 meters, very, very quick with the wing and stuff like that. And I felt like sometimes when you was going to meets and stuff like that, even when you were in football teams and even when you were in athletic teams and stuff like that, you know, if you was good at what you did, you could almost be alienated. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you come into bodybuilding, especially the bodybuilding that I come from, we were all backstage sharing chocolate, having a laugh, having banters, because we knew it had nothing to do with us, it had to do with the judges. And we knew, obviously, we still believed, even though you got politics in the sport, the winning and all that was out of our hands. Do you know what I mean? So there was no point in arguing with each other.
No, totally.
Do you know what I mean? I must admit, I did, when I first come into bodybuilding, I did prepare powerlifting because I thought, you can't take a decision away from me. I lift that weight up and I win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But what bodybuilding taught me was that we all go through the same thing. Yes. You know, we all struggle, we all suffer. Do you know what I mean? None of us get carried like you can be carried in other sports. You know what I mean? You can have great players around you in football and you could be poor in that football team and you're still going to get the winner's medal at the end of the year or the FA Cup at the end of the year or that big wage. Do you know what I mean? But in bodybuilding, you don't get that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think so the one thing that you do take away from it is that camaraderie. You know, like I said, that brothers in iron mentality is brilliant. And I've been all over the world and competed all over the world. And it's the same there.
Of course it is, yeah.
And sometimes you do get a little bit people that might be a little bit focused if they really think that they've got a chance of winning, and they might just kind of a little bit quiet backstage and not want to speak till it's afterwards. But as soon as that final bell goes, like boxing, we're friends again and stuff like that. Because we all know how hard it is for each other.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? There's no shortcuts in bodybuilding. There's nobody backstage that can turn around and say they'll get something given to them. A few decisions might go against them with the judges and stuff like that. But everybody works hard, just as hard. From the guy that comes 10th to the guy that comes first. I remember that when I first started in the sport, when there wasn't so many federations, when there were smaller federations, so every bodybuilder was tip top. If you got into the top 10, it was like winning.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I work backstage at shows now, and a guy that comes 10th is pissed off. You know what I mean? I remember when I first started coming 10th in show, I'd know the 9 guys that beat me were unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get in that top 10 was an honour for me. Like now I see people walking away, and it's like now you can go to shows, and there might be only one in the class. And the guy will be ringing his family up and saying, I've won. Well, you haven't won because you've beat nobody. You've qualified. You know, if it's a qualifier for a championship, then you've qualified. But you can't say you've won if you've not beat nobody.
Yeah.
And you'll get people that are thinking, they'll come up to me because I'm working backstage and they'll go, how many's in that class, Pat? And I'll go, 5 or 6. Or well, I'm 80 kilo and I'm the intermediates or open class. Can I switch? Because there's only one in intermediates. So he's basically thinking, at least I'll get second. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that mentality wasn't there when I first started competing. It was a privilege to compete against big names. And if you went home and said, when did you come 5th? Oh yeah, but I lost to Tim. Well, no, Tim's a great bodybuilder. So there was no pride. Yeah. But like now people think it's because of all social media. They think you've got to be a winner. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well,
you're a winner being on there, aren't you?
You're a winner turning up, aren't you? In this sport. Yeah. You're a winner turning up. I looked after Rio Ferdinand in 2010. It's a true story, so that's why I can go on record. I looked at, I bodyguarded him in 2010 when he couldn't attend the World Cup because he was injured. And I started talking to him about sport, and he was very, very, probably one of the first sportsmen that I ever met that appreciated bodybuilding. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, most bodybuilders, or most people outside the sport, just in general think it's all about drugs. Yeah, it takes a pill and he's massive. You know what I mean? And Rio Ferdinand was the first person that said the hard work and the discipline, you know, because I first started talking about footballer with millions of quid, going to start talking, oh, well, I do this, I do that. What do you do? Because you're a big guy, I'm a bodybuilder, I'll show you pictures. And I thought he was going to ridicule me. He says, listen, couldn't do that, mate. He said, that takes some discipline. That takes some focus. He said, even if I was good at that, right, and they paid me 300 grand a week, I'd still rather play football. Yeah. And that's the biggest compliment you could have paid, because it's probably the first time that you'd got acknowledgement from a sportsman outside your sport, because we're only respected within our sport. Now it's different. It's changed now. You know yourself, football teams, boxers, gymnasts, strength conditioners are all ex-bodybuilders and stuff like that. Yeah. So we're now being recognised for what we bring to the table, and about bloody time.
It's taken a while.
Yeah, it's taken a while. It's taken a while, but we're now acknowledged. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look at Ronaldo. You know what I mean? Yeah. There wouldn't have been a physique like Ronaldo 15 years ago.
No, not at all.
He'd have been questioned, he'd have been on drugs, he'd have been on all sorts. Yeah, but now you look at some footballers, they can't wait to take the tops off now, can they? Showing the physiques underneath.
Yeah. All right then, Pat. So what are your training principles?
They've varied over the years. Obviously, when I first started, it were all about lifting heavy, because I come from that powerlifting background. Mm-hmm. touch wood, in the best part of 30 years I've been training, I've never had a serious injury. I've had a couple of injuries where people have dropped weights on me and stuff like that. But I've never had a serious injury because I've always, I think because I came from an athletic background, I was always muscular but never muscle bound. Okay. You know what I mean? So I always had flexibility because obviously I played a lot of other sports and stuff. And I was very fit when I came into bodybuilding. So it was very easy to remain true to who I was. Although I wanted to be big and muscular and lean, I still wanted to be functional. So I still wanted to be fit. Yeah. So if I couldn't do anything that affected my fitness, I'd always back off my training. I remember my heaviest body weight at 5'10" was 296 pounds, really? Right, which was 21 stone 2, which was way too heavy for me. And you can get an ego there because I got to 296 pounds and I really wanted to get to 300 to say I was at that magic 300. And whatever I tried, I upped my food and I couldn't get to that 300 pound mark. And then I did this interview for this local magazine, local newspaper. We had a charity do when I turned up. It was in Bradford, so I was a bit of a local celebrity. And they said they'd let me show me the article when it was in a paper. And then when I seen myself in the paper, and I actually rung them up and I says, "You've not put a picture of me in the paper." I was a bit disappointed. Because, yeah, you're on page 12. Well, I must have got the evening edition, or I said, it was evening edition or afternoon edition. So it should be in both. So I'd got both of them, and there I was on page 12, but I didn't even recognise myself.
Really?
I just saw this big fat lad. Do you know what I mean? My head was massive. And then I realised, I thought, have I got so heavy? But I remember going back and then it all kind of dropped in. I couldn't shower properly. I couldn't tie my own shoelaces. Yeah. And then it took me a year to get it off. And then when my stage weight when I competed at 296 was exactly the same stage weight when I was walking around at 270.
You're joking.
So I was 26 pound heavier. It was 26 pound of fat because I never put a pound of muscle on.
Because you're just trying to get the weight.
Yeah, I just too much. Yeah, because I just try to push that weight. You know what I mean?
It's a good thing to tell people about that.
Yeah, I did. You know what I mean? And like I say, I was 26 pound heavier, and when I was 270 and I dieted down, I went on stage at 15.4. I got up to 296, and then the following year I got on stage at 15.3. So I was a pound lighter.
Wow.
For carrying that 26 pound.
There you go.
And it took me over a year to get it off.
Wow.
And then it took me about 2 years to get back to where I was.
Wow. It shows you that does, guys.
Yeah.
Don't get too carried away with your weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't take scales on stage with you anyway, can you?
No, it's very true.
And it was weird because I'll tell you a true story of this. I'd not seen a friend of mine when I was at school for a few years. And I saw him, I just come out of the bank and I weighed about, this is when I was coming down from my 296. And I was probably about 289. Wow. And hey, Pat, how are you? You know what I mean? You okay? So yeah, you're looking well. Blah, 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 blah. I'd not seen him. Last time I'd seen him, I was probably about 180 pounds. So I'm 100 pounds heavier and he's looking at me like I'm the same size. I was devastated. My ego took an absolute battering. You know, it just did. You know what I mean?
Love it.
And then I saw him 6 months later when I was getting ready to compete and I was about 50 pounds lighter. And I'm not even exaggerating. And he went, bloody hell, I bumped into you again. What's happened to you since last time? I thought I'm going to shrink. You look massive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what he said to me. And I was confused. I thought,
it is scary, though.
I'm 50 pounds lighter. And the guy thinks I'm huge. When I was 50 pounds heavy, I never even mentioned it.
When you do cut, you do look bigger, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's when I realised that carrying that extra weight means nothing visually. Totally. You don't look any bigger.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean?
I've seen people on stage who are like really light, like 10 stone, looking massive on stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's one of the pictures that I've sent you. Most of the people thought I was about 250, 260 on that picture. I actually weighed 228.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
visual effects.
So for me, the training principles, getting back to now I just train, it's more tuck training, it's more time under tension. I am still very, very strong. So when most people see me in the gym, they probably still think I'm lifting heavy, but it's not heavy for me.
Yes.
I've lifted a lot heavier, but obviously because I've always been strong, even when I was at a light body weight. So for me, it's at least 30% lighter than I used to lift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, if any weight that you've got, especially if you're doing any pushing and stuff like that, or pulling, is an extension of your arm anyway. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So that's all it is. Whether it's £100 or it's £20. Do you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And you know yourself, you can make a a lightweight really heavy.
Oh, you can, yeah.
But you can't make a heavyweight light.
No.
You can't make a heavyweight light.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? So which you're gonna grow from? Do you know what I mean?
Do you reckon training this 30% lighter stopped you getting injured?
Yeah, it did. I mean, touch wood, because I've always been flexible and I always stretched and I always used sports massages and stuff. In 30 years, I've only had one serious injury. Wow. That's got a lot to do with luck as well, but I think it's more to do with because I've made my own luck, because I've always prepared, I've always had the massages and stuff like that. But I think you could tear your hamstring lifting a 10-pound weight.
You can't.
And you might not tear it lifting a 100-pound. I think it's most injuries come from incorrect form rather than from the big weight.
Yeah.
You know yourself, we've seen it all the time in the gym. You can see people getting injured and you think, oh, you're getting injured, you're lifting light. Yeah, he's getting injured because it's incorrect form.
Yes.
So I think form's more important than weight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, right, if you are growing and you are breaking down muscle and the time is under tension, you're going to grow anyway. Yeah. Nobody gives a shit if it's a 500-pound bench press or you've built a chest from a 100-pound bench press. Because I, you know, at the end of the day, I can see people can bench press 500-pound and you know yourself, they can't do 10 press-ups.
Yeah.
So if they're bench pressing 500-pound and they can't do 10 press-ups, it ain't the chest they're using, is it, on a bench press?
No.
Because they wouldn't be failing doing a press-up, would they?
That's true.
Or you see them doing a massive row with all the weight on, but they can't do 2 chins. They're not using the back. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's how I try to explain to them when they say, but I can lift this big weight and I can leg press 20 plates aside. Well, why have you got legs like sticks then?
Yeah. Why aren't you growing?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're only growing when you're breaking down that muscle tissue and it's repairing, and that can only come in from if it's time under tension
and you're feeling it properly.
And you're feeling it properly.
Yeah.
But some people don't do that because they walk around in the gym and if they're 15 stone and the guy's at 11 stone lifting more than them, their ego won't allow them to think, well, I've got to lift more than him because I want. For me, I don't care as long as I'm growing.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I've never had an ego coming into this sport because people that taught me into this sport, I couldn't have an ego around. Do you know what I mean? Because most of the guys I trained with back in the day, they were always stronger than me anyway.
Yeah.
So I was always taught I was never going to be the strongest, even though I was stronger than them in terms of static lifting because I was a powerlifter, but bodybuilding strength was weak.
Yeah.
I mean, I could squat 7 plates aside when I started squatting. And I squatted with a bodybuilder called Steve Riddick. And he could do 3 plates aside and his legs were twice as big as mine. And I went, well, how's that work? He goes, because you're a powerlifter, mate. I'm a bodybuilder. He said, you're lifting for strength. I'm lifting for size. Do it my way. Right, I'll squat your way, no problems. A plate and a half.
Really?
A plate and a half.
Wow.
A plate and a half. Compared to my 7 plates. You do the maths. My ego took a battering. I left his gym that day thinking I'd never lifted a weight in my life.
Unreal.
I swear to God. But 6 months later, my weight went back up to where it was.
Yeah.
And then I started winning shows then.
Yeah, with the legs
because my legs grew. Because I always had a great upper body from the powerlifting. Thick shoulders, thick chest, big back, light on the leg. Even though I was strong on the legs, even though my strongest body parts have always been my legs, they weren't my strongest body parts in terms of visual.
They weren't size-wise. Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, Pat, going on to another topic now.
Yeah.
What are your nutritional beliefs in the bodybuilding?
For me, it's my mate. His brother trains here, Pete Chambers. Well, yeah. Ian's a good friend of mine, and he has a saying. They call it KIFs, and it's keep it effing simple. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Simple.
My nutritional, ever since I've ever got in shape, I always get shredded. Is basic food.
Yeah, simple.
And my basic foods, my protein sources normally come from chicken, turkey, egg whites. My carbs normally come from oats, sweet potatoes, and rice, and plenty of veg. That's my basic food principles. I'll mix them up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's always like that. And then when the fats do get involved, my fats normally come from fish oils, salmon, steak, nuts.
Wow. Do you ever,
simple.
Do you ever season your food?
Yeah, I used to season my food with all ketchups and salad cream until I realised it was absolutely loaded with sugar.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Absolutely loaded with sugar. You know what I mean? You'd be surprised having ketchup every day on a different meal. Thinking by the time you finish, you've got 30, 40 grams of sugar.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't realise. So now it's just seasonings, which my seasonings are salt, pepper, fajita seasoning, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because all it is, they're just salts and pepper, and your body needs sodium anyway.
Of course, yeah.
And I keep my seasonings right up to when I'm dieting, prepping. I'll go a little bit dry and then I'll come back in my seasoning. I'll cut my salt out nearer to a show and then I'll bring it back in again.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's something you need salt and pepper. So
Oh yeah. You can get bland, can't it?
yeah. When I won the Britons, like I said, I didn't even have no sodium.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And it was it was the best and worst thing I ever did because it got me in the best shape of my life. But I know if I'd have kept my seasons in, I'd have been better. But I wanted to be that focused that year. I didn't want nobody to beat me. That I didn't even have seasoning, which was stupid. You know what I mean? But looking back on it now, I would have. If I'd have known I'd kept it in, I'd have looked even better.
Of course, yeah. Simple, yeah.
I won at the end of the day, so that was the result I wanted. But if I'd have kept my seasons in, I'd have looked even better. Yeah.
Cool. No worries. Okay, so that's interesting then. Okay, so going into getting ready for shows.
Yeah.
Okay, you got any like little tips for people?
Yeah, I always feel I always think when it comes to a diet, I always think dieting for the average person on the street is hard. It's making a lifetime choice. You know what I mean? Whether they want to go on holiday and stuff like that. Dieting for bodybuilding is even harder because the first few weeks, nothing's going to happen. So you get frustrated that nothing's going to happen. Your body doesn't change and stuff. And then all of a sudden it starts to change. So I always believe if you think you need 16 weeks for a diet, you need 20.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that, because I'd say another 4 weeks, because the first 4 weeks, you're not actually dieting, just getting your head around dieting.
Yeah.
You know, making them lifetime choices, making them changes. So then when you come to 16 weeks out, you're already in the mode for dieting, you're already in dieting mode. And then by the time you come to the back end of your diet and you're getting ready for a show, in reality, you should be able to see everything 4 or 5 weeks out.
Really, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
then you're never chasing your tail, and then you can cruise in. These people that want to diet for 12 weeks and say, right, no, I'm lean, I only diet for 12 weeks. Yeah, they could get the body fat off in 12 weeks. But all of a sudden, when they realise they're not going to quite peak on that day, they're making the changes towards the back end, which is going to be bad because you're making big changes. But whereas if you've been consistent for that whole 20 week, you're only making subtle changes. Yeah. When you make a small change, it's like sculpturing it. A little piece off there looks brilliant. A little piece off there looks brilliant. When you're making these big changes, big things are going to happen. Yeah. But not for the right, for the wrong.
Yeah, totally.
Do you know what I mean?
So your word of advice there is give a lot of time.
A lot of time, yeah.
Make sure you have enough
time. A lot of time because I think it prepares you mentally as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But don't get me wrong, it does prepare you mentally, but that lot of time means you've got to be mentally right to say like, I'm going to diet for 5-6 months because it's not easy. Yeah. But then again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Yeah. And if you've actually chose that sport, then you know that comes part for the course with that. Oh, yeah. So if you have, you've got to be prepared to do that because in the long run, it's better off.
Because as I say, dieting is probably the hardest thing anyone will ever do.
Anyone will ever do.
Yeah.
Listen, sportsmen, I've spoken to different sportsmen. I look after different sportsmen. And when I tell them what I eat, they went, thank God I'm a footballer. Thank God I'm a boxer. Thank God I'm a cyclist. Because I couldn't do that. Yeah. You know, a footballer can come off the pitch and have a pizza. Yeah. You know, if we're 3 weeks out from a show, we're not coming out of the gym and going for a pizza, are we? Or for a McDonald's, or for a beer.
Just get that turkey and broccoli out.
Get that turkey and broccoli out. Do you know what I mean? You know, I've actually gone to cinema, haven't I, with turkey and broccoli. Do you know what I mean? So we've all been there, haven't we? Yeah, you know what I mean? So, you know, the mental discipline is the hardest bit. You know, because I know I can be depleted, tired, sore. You can always get me in that gym. And I'm always focused. I'm not always focused to eat the mood. It's just that if I eat the food, I just know I've got to do it.
Yeah, it's just like it's like part of the thing, isn't it?
It's just part of the thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, so just finish off then.
Yeah.
What sort of tips would you give to up and coming people who want to get into bodybuilding to help them on their way?
Do your research. Stay away from social media because they're full of lies. Find yourself somebody that's walked a mile in the shoes that you want to walk in. Old school bodybuilders that have done it from the beginning. This new generation of bodybuilders are all copy and paste. They've no idea. They're following. You get some of the new ones now. Don't get me wrong, they are good. But on the whole, you wanna spend time with somebody that's done it for a while. If you've got a car, you're not going to take your car to a guy that's just started mechanicking last week, are you? No. You know, you want a guy that's worked on cars for 20 years.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Knows how to break down, knows how to put them back together again. But nobody knows your body better than yourself, so do your own research. Do you know what I mean? Learn more about your body. If you're working with a coach, everybody I work with, I actually turn around and say, tell me about you. Yeah. What do you know about you? Because the more information you know about you, I can do something with. Don't, you know, some people say, right, you're my coach there, I'll follow everything you do. Doesn't work because I don't know your body. I can only respond to what it's like a doctor in it. Where you feeling the pain, where you feeling that, I can work. A doctor can't just go, yeah, your pain's in your head. He doesn't know where your pain is. So we all need people to give us feedback, don't we? Of course. So the more feedback, the more you know about yourself, the more you can go to a professional then, and it gives them a guideline, but it's still you. You still got to focus on you.
That's some wise words.
Which is true, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I know you're obviously a personal trainer and a coach yourself. You've got a website you wanted to shout out.
Yeah, like I say, I do general health. I mean, because I do bodybuilding prep, of course. But for me, my biggest goal is to help people in general. Mm-hmm. You know, it's great when you can help other sportsmen, but sometimes when you're other sportsmen or people are in the sport or in any industry, you'll help them for 6-7 weeks and they go, I got it, I can take it from here. Do you know what I mean? General people on everyday life that don't have the confidence and the courage to come in the gym, I feel they're the better people to work with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they'll gain more. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll listen more. You know what I mean? Because when we've done a certain level of fitness and training and you get someone to kickstart you again, you tend to go to your own devices. So I look after everyday people, do you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want to think the background that I come from, that I can't help anybody. Whereas if most people think, oh, you can't help me, he only looks after bodybuilders, he only looks after football, he only looks after sportsmen. I look after somebody where you're 22 stone and you never left your house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So in general, so for me, that's what I like to do. Just anybody that wants to make a lifetime change, want to help themselves, build up confidence, whether it's just to get into a dress for your mate's wedding or, you know what I mean, or whether you want to go on holiday or whether you want to participate in a sport, you know, I think I can help everybody.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's the knowledge that I've gained over the years and it's not mine to keep. I like to think I can pass it on.
Yeah, everything's about giving back.
Everything's about giving back, and that's the great thing about it's my biggest trophy, that, to be honest. I've won loads of trophies, but my biggest trophies was I got this guy down from 21 stone down to 11 stone when he said he could never do it. Wasn't a bodybuilder, didn't want to compete, just wanted to make a lifestyle choice.
There you go.
And that's my biggest trophy, that when you can help people like that.
And he'll remember that forever.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
But yeah, my social media pages, obviously, I'm on Facebook. I'm also obviously on Instagram, which is mainly what I work on, which is Pat Warner 65.
Okay.
Obviously, that's my email address there, and that's me, CMP athlete. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, if you see it there, obviously it's eltoro.pw@googlemail.com. You can also email me on that as well. And just in general, you know what I mean? I intend to be spending a lot of time down this fantastic gym, Area 51, and Tim's been very, very kind to us. Do you know what I mean? So you can always contact us through here, and anything we can do, we're glad to help. But get down to this gym and support Clever Bodybuilding as well. This guy's doing something fantastic here. He's giving back. Not a lot of people in this sport want to give back, want to interview people like me. So I think you should get on board that as well.
Appreciate
and thanks
that,
for your time as well. I appreciate it, Tim.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate that, buddy.
Good.
Right then, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. It's been a privilege to have Pat talking about all his memories and experiences and tips. Make some good decisions, and we'll see you again soon.